Hello, everyone. Just had to make sure that the audio was starting to record. So today we're going to be going over the NFL preseason from August 22nd, along with some general news overall across the NFL. The first game I kind of watched was the Bears versus Chiefs. Bears won 34 to Chiefs 21. They were honestly destroying the Chiefs until they got a little scared in the fourth quarter. So at one point, the Bears were up I think it was like 20 something to like 7 entering the fourth. Yeah, no, the Chiefs scored two touchdowns. Yeah, no. For a second, I was like, "Are you kidding me? We're about to blow this lead in the fourth quarter." I was about to get scared, but no. Luckily, we clutched up the win. No Caleb Williams appearance or the Chiefs stars presence, so I think this is kind of a sign of like that third week kind of like showing, honestly. And no, yeah. In terms of like stats, we got Ian Brooks, 6 for 9 passes for 71 yards and a touchdown. We got Carson Steele with 4 carries for 50 yards and a touchdown. And the return squad overall, 7 returns for 239 yards. Honestly, like they made a really big impact for like the group overall. And like no, yeah, honestly I think like just like watching them like doing returns, they had like a lot of different players in there. I know one of them was Carson Steele they had back there. And like honestly it just kinda like it just makes like more like returns more interesting. I have really enjoyed returns. And honestly, I feel like by the end of like the regular season, I probably would make like a mini video, probably like a quick like 10-minute video, just going over like my opinions about the returns and like whether or not I like the change overall, kind of like my like reaction to it. And for the Bear size, Velus Jones Jr. 13 carries for 111 yards and a touchdown, and 2 receptions for 11 yards. This dude was a wide receiver. He had a lot more rushes than catches, and I was just like, dude, there's no way. In terms of catches for us, Tyler Scott, 6 receptions for 99 yards was very good. And Reddy Stewart, 2 interceptions, and one was a pick six. The pick six one I thought was pretty cool. Makes me kind of like even more confident for like our defense overall. It kind of makes me think of like we're probably going to be very like well in the defense department. Now we just all need to figure out is that offense. That's also what we need to do is figure out. And like honestly, just like my opinion, I feel like we're gonna see like more like a lot of like more like dual kind of like threats. Because we of course we had like the standards of like running backs, wide receivers, slot kind of like more of like slot player, than more of like that out like route runners, and then now we're seeing more of those like offense returns. It's more of like a thing we're kind of seeing now. We're seeing like multiple different like offensive players kind of like taking like turns having their spot at like as a returner to kind of like return the ball. Like I know we haven't seen it yet, but I know like Mike Tomlin had like is planning to have like, I think Justin Fields at some point like return the ball for them, which honestly I think is a is probably gonna be the scariest version of what we're gonna see from that sort of thing. Like no, yeah, like honestly, like I think it'll just be like more kind of terrifying. Hold on, let me just fix this real quick because it's been bothering me. Okay, yeah, fix best editor there in the game, of course. But like no, yeah, like honestly, I think we're gonna see a lot more of those like offensive players. Like I know Darius Tony has been more of a return player this preseason. For like the Chiefs, for example. And no, yeah, I think we're gonna get like more varieties of like these dual threat kind of players, which makes me kind of think there's gonna be more value and versatility. What does it mean for like contracts? I think we just have to wait and see on that because it's gonna be like a whole thing like Debo Samuel when he had his massive contract dispute. Because the big question is either you pay him like a running back or you pay him like a receiver. Which honestly, I feel like they should have paid him more. Honestly, I feel like the answer should be like whatever like their primary position is. That should be what they pay for. He's a receiver that can run, not a running back that can catch. So I think that's honestly my answer for it. But like, no, yeah, honestly, I think we're gonna see like more varieties of players, honestly, in terms of like how they can play than ever before. And then no, yeah, the second game is Colts versus Bengals. Colts won 27 to the Bengals 14. It was a close game until the fourth quarter. We had a scoreless second quarter. But no, yeah, I think like the Colts ran off like 14 points, I think. And then like no, yeah, honestly for like noticeable like kind of like stats. Anthony Richardson had 8 for 14 passes for 86 yards, a touchdown, interception, and a carry for 3 yards. Jason Bean had 4 for 4 for passing. Literally hit him with a Wendy's combo for 52 yards. 3 carries for 15 yards and a touchdown. And then overall, this is the run game outside of the quarterbacks. 33 carries for a total. Dying. For 165 yards and a touchdown was pretty impressive. Logan Woodside for the Bengals, 16 for 21 passes for 98 yards and a touchdown. 2 carries for 10 yards and a fumble loss. Thought that was like pretty. Thought that was a pretty dumb decision for him, kind of for how he held the ball. Trayvon Williams, 11 carries for 66 yards, 5 receptions for 11 yards. I thought like very like noticeable game. Jermaine Burton, 4 receptions for 56 yards and a touchdown. And Jordan Battle had the other touchdown with a pick six off of Anthony Richardson. Honestly, like that reception was more just kind of like it wasn't really like a like he kind of just made a mistake. That's not what it looked like. It just looked more just kind of like Anthony Richardson just kind of like threw it and he just kind of like missed. He kind of hit him with the you forgot to like pull out the chicken that your mom told you to do, and she pulled it in the driveway. He just kind of hit like a that level mistake. Honestly, that's honestly like all I really see from it. I don't think it was like that big of a deal. However, what is a big deal is his rushing. He barely ran the ball preseason. 2 carries for 4 yards across 3 games. We're looking at an average of like 0.66 yard. No, not even 0.6. Yeah, 0.66 yards. No, 0.66 carries and like 1.3 yards a game all preseason from Anthony Richardson. Which, if I'm not mistaken, from like last year, I know when he ran the ball, he ran that ball during like the short amount of time that he played. Like I'm looking this up right now. Just double check my knowledge, just so I don't look like a fool. But yeah, the 4 games he played, this dude ran 25 times for 136 yards for like 4 touchdowns. He only ran the ball twice in 3 games. Like honestly, like given the fact like how our expectations of Anthony Richardson was the entire time that like he was drafted going into the draft and beginning of the season, we were like, oh hey, he's gonna be like a really big rushing threat. I think he's gonna like use his legs and just bulldoze through people and come out of passes. More of like a bigger Lamar Jackson, but like slower. Like honestly, that's all it kind of is, and that I think it kind of like is, or like he should have been, but like in this like preseason, he really hasn't. And like honestly, again, like he did have a really bad injury. Like I get that part, but at the same time, it's just kind of like a like he should be like more able to like run the ball. He should have ran the ball more. Like I get, they have a lot of running backs, and they kind of like give like time for them to kind of do stuff. But at the same time, it's kind of like Anthony Richardson just like take the ball and just run it. And honestly, just like my take from it, I think he's just gonna have like a big like step back in his like his run game to not risk like further injuries. Which if that's the case, then it's like okay, respectable. But at the same time, it's kind of like, dude, like run the ball, please, please run the ball. And then overall, like news is just like 3 days ago, Jaden Daniels got announced to be the starter for the Commanders starting Week 1, which I think was is the right decision to do in the first place. And we got the first one of my takes right. Bo Nix is announced to start yesterday. Yeah, no, if you were checking my previous video and to kind of like hear like what I said about like Bo Nix being a starter, I was kind of right with it. And I feel good to be right about this because I feel like further because it's like in my opinion for it, like I think Bo Nix is a good quarterback, or I think he would be a good quarterback. I just like I was just surprised he got taken in the spot that he did. Which honestly I feel like it all started from the Michael Penix stuff. Like if Michael Penix didn't get drafted to Atlanta, he would have been a Bronco. Like that's honestly my take of it. I thought Bo Nix would have been like later on in the draft. I think that's the main thing people are forgetting is that the Bo Nix to the Broncos thing probably would not happen without Michael Penix Jr. to Atlanta. Just saying, that's my take of it. But like, we can agree to disagree. And overall, like Jahan Dawson to the Eagles plus a front pick, I decided to throw in there because picks were involved. They only really gave up a third and two 7 round picks in this upcoming draft. Which I mean, like a third is kind of like, yeah, we again further dying, forever dying. Okay, I think we're good. Again, he only really gave up like a third and two 7 round picks in 2025 draft. So like, not a lot of like value. Honestly, I feel like it's just kind of like dumb for Washington to kind of like trade Jahan Dawson for it. And honestly, like my take for kind of like Washington, I think they're probably just gonna lose like more games. Which I mean, like the difference is like Jahan Dawson is not gonna create that big of a difference to where it's like I have to like redo like the thing for Atlanta where their defense got majorly improved. I don't think Jahan Dawson with the roster that's already around him is gonna like create that big of a deal. Because what the only difference is like what it's just kind of like what the like their toss up games are gonna be slightly more closer to losses. And it's like it was already tossed up to begin with because there's already like shit teams playing against other shit teams. And I feel like that's the same thing with the Eagles. Because I really think that was like their offense more complete. They definitely got that wide receiver 3 with them. But like in terms of them like winning, it's just kind of like a lot of the team was just kind of like a random like mashup. So I think the chemistry is gonna be like a bigger issue with this, and I don't think it'll impact the wins as much as everyone thinks. I feel slightly closer to maybe saying, "Oh, hey, maybe they beat the Cowboys 2 times," but honestly, that's about it. It's like it's not gonna create a thing where it's like, "Oh, is there gonna be like the first 17-0 team since the Patriots and possibly win the Super Bowl like the Dolphins did to have a true undefeated season?" But it's like, no, yeah, like honestly, like I think like it was a good trade for the Eagles. I think they got a really good receiver for them. That's gonna make the offense like more dominant and more like stable as a unit. And no, yeah, it's honestly the other news in the NFL. And honestly, tomorrow's player games is interesting. Jaguars versus Falcons, Dolphins versus Buccaneers, 49ers versus Raiders, all pretty decent looking games. So prepare back tomorrow for me having my reactions to these and predictions. So yeah, I am signing out. Later, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful night.